I'm Laura Trevelyan in Washington, and this is BBC World News America. Deep divisions among US Republicans on day one of the new Congress. Kevin McCarthy is scrambling to become Speaker of the House of Representatives, facing a rebellion from the Republican hard right. An Israeli minister visits a contested holy site in Jerusalem, sparking outrage from Palestinians and across the Arab world. An outpouring of support and concern over player safety after American footballer Damar Hamlin suffers a cardiac arrest. And Brazil says goodbye to Pelé. His coffin makes a final journey through the crowded streets of his hometown.
This is a day of mourning, but it's also one of celebration too, wanting to send off their king of football, and they're doing it in style.
Welcome to World News America on PBS and around the globe. For the first time in 100 years, the US House of Representatives failed to elect a new Speaker on the first vote. Kevin McCarthy faces a rebellion by hard-right Republican lawmakers on what should have been a day of celebration for the party as they took control of the House. Instead, a mutiny by the right exposed the deep divisions within House Republicans. The Speaker is one of the most important elected officials here in Washington, but right now there isn't one. Here's what one of the Republican rebels, Matt Gaetz, said on the floor of the House. Well, let's go to Capitol Hill and speak to our correspondent, Will Grant, who's there. Will, it's been a day of total chaos. What happens next as Kevin McCarthy scrambles to become Speaker? Will Grant, thanks. Well, for more on what this means for the Republican Party and the country, we're joined now by Ron Christie, who worked in the White House of President George W. Bush. Ron, is Kevin McCarthy going to be the next Speaker, do you think?
No.
Ron Christie, thank you so much for joining us.
Lovely to see you.
Well, let's go to Jerusalem now, where a far-right Israeli minister in the new government has visited a contested holy site, a move condemned by Palestinians as an unprecedented provocation. The compound that houses the Al-Aqsa Mosque is a site that's sacred to both Muslims and Jews. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir toured the area with heavy security. Only Muslim worshippers can pray here, but the minister tweeted that Temple Mount, as it's known to Jews, was open to all. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have accused the Israeli politician of storming the site, while Jordan, which has custody of the area, has summoned the Israeli ambassador in protest. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's committed to the status quo there. Well, as he walked through the compound, Itamar Ben-Gvir insisted Jews have a right to enter the site. In other news, the founder of the bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange FTX has appeared in court in New York and pleaded not guilty to fraud charges. Sam Bankman-Fried is accused of stealing billions of dollars from FTX to prop up another of his businesses, the hedge fund Alameda Research. The European Commission says the majority of EU member states are in favour of travel restrictions on people arriving from China. Some countries have already introduced measures over fears about the rise in coronavirus infections there. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said restrictions targeting China were unacceptable and would be met with reciprocal action. The Saudi football club Al Nassr has laid on a lavish reception in Riyadh for their star new signing, Cristiano Ronaldo of Portugal. The football star said he hoped to break new records in Saudi Arabia. It's been reported that Ronaldo's salary could be more than $160 million a year, making him the highest paid footballer in history. The American football player Damar Hamlin is in a critical condition after suffering a cardiac arrest during an American football game last night. The Buffalo Bills player fell to the ground after colliding with an opponent live on TV. His injury has highlighted concerns about the safety of American football. Our Washington correspondent Gary O'Donoghue has been following the story. In Brazil, thousands of people lined the streets to bid farewell to the football legend Pelé as his funeral procession made its way through Santos. The procession paused as it passed the house where Pelé's 100-year-old mother Celeste still lives. In a private ceremony for family, Pelé's coffin was placed in his tomb overlooking the city. Here's our South America correspondent, Katie Watson. Farewell to Pelé. Well, let's go to Thailand now, where the tourism industry was hard hit by COVID. This had a huge impact on the large population of captive elephants. Elephants have been used to entertain tourists for decades, but the COVID shutdown left their owners struggling to feed them, as Jonathan Head reports. An Egyptian sarcophagus that was looted 15 years ago has been returned to Cairo. The so-called green coffin dates back more than 2,000 years. It had been on display at a museum in Texas and is one of thousands of items recovered by the Egyptian authorities. Tim Allman reports. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, look up at the sky tonight and you might see a meteor shower. The phenomenon happens every January with the quadrantid, one of the strongest and most consistent meteor showers. This one was seen over northern China last year. There could be 110 shooting stars an hour. Amazing. I'm Laura Trevelyan. Thanks so much for watching World News America.
Hello there. We've had records broken already, and it's only the third day into 2023, and it's